If I told you the beginning of this season that Alexander Ovechkin was going to break Gretzky's record this year, the Washington Capitals were going to be tops in the Eastern Conference, we're going to win a round, but then flame out against a team that is no stranger to making it to the conference final, albeit in 5 games, you would have said to yourself, that's a good season for the Washington Capitals.
The Hurricanes made pretty light work of the Washington Capitals. A 3-1 win in Game 5. They eliminate the Caps in 5 games.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a disappointing end for the Washington Capitals after they enter the playoffs as the number 1 seed in the East, a real storybook regular season that essentially sputters out against the Hurricanes. And you got to give credit to the Canes because they suffocated them. They played Hurricanes hockey, boring hockey, some might say. I don't want to get into that because I don't want to get yelled at by the most psychotic fans of the South. But it was kind of a sputtering out from the Washington Capitals after what was a storybook season. So my question to you, is it fair to feel disappointed or let down by the Washington Capitals, a team that had 111 points in the regular season, first in the Eastern Conference? They were second in the regular season in offense. They scored 3 total goals over their final 3 games of the season, 4 5-on-5 goals over 5 games. Like, this thing came crashing down. So is it fair to be a little disappointed in them?
Yes and no. The world's worst sports talk radio answer. So all of life, all of sports is all based on expectations. And if I told you the beginning of the season, despite the fact that, the Washington Capitals, what they did towards the end of last season and what Brian McClellan and Chris Patrick were able to do in the offseason, if I told you the beginning of this season that Alexander Ovechkin was going to break Gretzky's record this year, the Washington Capitals were going to be tops in the Eastern Conference, we're going to win a round, but then flame out against a team that is no stranger to making it to the conference final, albeit in 5 games, you would have said to yourself, that's a good season for the Washington Capitals. It just doesn't feel that way because our expectations got raised all along the way with the Washington Capitals. I'm like, and maybe this is just a byproduct of me like getting older, but I tend to do things like big picture now more than just sort of day to day or game to game. I look at the whole season and I say to myself, that was a really successful season. I know, Pete, it doesn't feel like that for Carbery, for Ovechkin, for Logan Thompson, who's just absolutely killing himself after that Svechnikov goal yesterday. Like for all those players, it does not feel like a successful season. But when you win silver at the Olympics, it doesn't feel like you've won anything until a few months go by or maybe a few years go by and you realize that was a really noteworthy accomplishment. Like I really actually did something. So based on what the expectations were for the Capitals at the beginning of the season, this was a successful year. It just doesn't feel like it because they really got snuffed out by a Carolina Hurricanes team that plays, and I know we're going to do the boring thing in a second. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. They play a really smart, safe, defensive, stifling, challenging to play style of hockey. And trust me, playing against, I've talked to so many players about this, playing against Carolina is exhausting because by the time you actually do get the puck back, you're too tired to do anything with it. So long-winded answer, but I think it was still a successful season for the Caps. They don't feel like it, but I don't look at them and say that this was a disappointing season at all.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to like splitting things into 2 seasons. If you split it, regular season and playoffs, they absolutely unbelievable story during the regular season. But like when you look at a team that basically led the Eastern Conference all the year long, kind of having trouble in the first round. I know they won in 5 games, so they had a little bit of trouble against the Montreal Canadiens, and then they just got choked out by the Hurricanes in round 2. Like that to me is disappointing for a team that led the Eastern Conference basically all year long.
So I know I'm in the minority here, but I really enjoy watching the Carolina Hurricanes. And I like watching the Carolina Hurricanes from popcorn row, from press row, because you can really see what's going on out there. And this is a team that plays the closest to chess of any other team out there. Now, we've heard plenty about Rod Brind'Amour and the Carolina Hurricanes and playing man-to-man. The interesting thing about when you watch a team like the Carolina Hurricanes play man-to-man, the first thing that you notice is how much ice is actually out there, because not everybody is spread out playing zone. Normally, when we look at a game, it's like, wow, there's nowhere to move out there. You get a couple of strides, and then you got to move the puck, right? But when you're playing Carolina, the first thing that jumps out at, there's a lot of available ice, and when there is a breakdown, when Carolina breaks down, the scoring chances that they concede are grade A chances. Like the minute something doesn't work and the man-to-man crushes on Washington Capitals have the puck, the scoring chances are like, when you look at like expected goals, like all of these goals should go in, right? That's because that's a position they put them, and that's the risk that they take. We're going to play man-to-man. It's stifling. All of our guys are essentially, they must do like triathlons. Like you have to be in incredible shape to play for the Carolina Hurricanes. But when it does break down, your scoring chances are top drawer. But that's the gamble. That's the chance. That's the risk that the Carolina Hurricanes take. For them, it all worked against the Capitals. But I said to myself at the beginning of the series, if there's one team that can really make Carolina pay for making those mistakes, I mean, Edmonton is the best example, but really in the Eastern Conference, Washington has a lot of guys that can score. That's why I thought Washington, although I don't know how many games I would have given them at the beginning of the series, they had a chance because they don't need a lot of time to score a goal, and they have a lot of guys that can find the back of the net. So
Yeah, and I
I
mean,
thought that this was a chance for Washington to actually do something here that they did squander.
yeah, I mean, part of that too is the goaltending because Freddie Anderson has been a monster for Carolina.
Yeah,
Sean, do you have the stats there for the goaltending? Like, it's the Hurricanes, the way that they play. You mentioned like they
look at
hold the puck
that.
for a ton of the game, and when they give you the puck, if they have great
Yeah,
goaltending on top of that, like good luck. And these numbers for Freddie Anderson during the series, 5 games. 6 goals against, a 937 save percentage, and 7 goals saved above expected. He allowed less goals than goals he saved above expected, which is wild. I didn't think that Logan Thompson was
yeah.
bad in this series. I thought that he was below kind of the bar that he set for himself during the regular season. And goaltending, as a result, kind of was a little bit of a story here, but more
Yeah.
so just that for Carolina, they finally have the goaltending that they've been searching for in playoff runs past.
There's one mitigating factor here. There's one wild card with Frederik Andersen, and that is the hospital bracelet.
Yes.
That's the one for like the wild card in all of this. Because you're right. Like when Frederik Andersen is on his game, good luck. Good luck, everybody. Right. And it's not, and the Carolina Hurricanes are stingy. They're not going to allow, they will allow the grade A's, but they're not going to allow a ton of shots against you. It's a really strong defensive team, as we all know. But Freddie Andersen, when he's on his game and he's healthy, like he's amongst the tops in the NHL. And as we've seen before, like you don't need like the best goaltender to win a Stanley Cup. You just need a guy that's going to give you a save, and he gives them a chance whenever he's healthy. He gives them more than a great chance to win every single night. Logan Thompson's interesting because when we look back at this series, what are the 2 goals that are going to stand out? The Svechnikov winner, with just under 2 minutes left in Game 5, and also the Jacob Slavin floater. Like again, 2 quintessential Carolina Hurricanes goals. Just throw it on the net, volume shooting.
I did want to play this clip from
Yep.
his presser last night, and it was basically him just talking about the 50th anniversary season and just kind of the whole
Yep.
vibe of it and encapsulating. Sean, go ahead.
It's awful. I told him that it's awful. Well, yeah, because you did feel that this team was capable of doing something special and potentially going to the Cup Finals or making some noise. And we knew we had our work cut out for us. We knew it wasn't going to be smooth sailing through this, but we believed. And this group will never be together again. And so that is that's just a fact. That's the way that this whole thing works. But when the wounds heal and we have some time to reflect, this 50th anniversary Caps team will go down in history. And I'll just speak for myself. this is one of the greatest seasons that I've ever been a part of as a coach or a player, and I'll never forget this group. But I told those guys I love them, and every single one of them, what we went through as a group this year and what they accomplished, and O's record and everything that went into this season, I will never forget this group. It really, really memorable year.
Yeah, I love that message. I love basically that entire press conference that he gave, because essentially he was like, we were punching above our weight class in this series. The Hurricanes are so much better, but also this was an unbelievable season. And that's kind of how I feel about the Capitals. And I thought he did a very good job of summing it up. Another noteworthy thing from that exit presser was he was asked by our pal, Greg Wyshynski. It's like, hey, is Alex Ovechkin coming back? And he gave he's under contract, but I expect him to be back. Not a hard yes. Is there any chance that Alex Ovechkin retires after this season?
I mean, you never say never, but I have a hard time believing that he's not going to come back to create some distance between Gretzky's number and what his number ends up being. Try to catch me now. Now Ovechkin, even early in his career, would always talk about, he's going to go back one day and play one more season with Moscow Dynamo. That in his heart, he feels like he owes that to Russian hockey and to that league. So I think that even when he exits the NHL, that he's still going to go play at least one more season in Russia. But I don't think that I shouldn't say any way, because people wake up one morning and say, you know what, I've had it. What more is he going to prove? He's got everything, and he's going to the Hall of Fame. And he's got one of the records we thought would never be broken. But I have a hard time believing that Ovechkin wouldn't be back. I have if I can freestyle a question to you, Pete.
Oh yeah.
When Carbery was talking about this group will never be together again, who do you think he meant?
It's interesting. I wonder about,
because there's
John
the obvious
Carlson.
like Lars Eller and Andrew Mangiapane, like expiring contracts. You know who I think he might have been talking about? Like the players, like that. The reality is, this is why you could say like every team's going through a rebuild, because every team changes every year.
Right.
I wonder if he was talking about Mitch Love and Kirk Muller, his assistants. Because
why do you think that?
Well, listen, it's no secret that Mitch Love, as much as Spencer Carbery, and Carbery's going to win the Coach of the Year. He's going to win the Jack Adams. He's the new hotness in the NHL, and rightfully so. He's been successful at every single level. Like he's hit the scene here in the NHL and demonstrated he's one of the elite coaches already around the league. Really, really smart. Other teams tried to get him before. Good on Washington for getting there, but Mitch Love is the next hotness. Like there is a real buzz around Mitch Love, and he's either has interviewed or is going to interview with, I think, as many as 5 teams. There's a lot of people that are talking about him, and I believe Kirk Muller is in demand as well. All these teams want to talk to him. So as much as Carbery is talking about his players and some that might not come back, I wonder as well if he's also talking about his assistants, specifically Mitch Love.
Interesting. All right.
And I wonder about Pittsburgh. If you want something to chew on, I wonder about Pittsburgh, because it does seem very much like a Kyle Dubas move. Don't forget, Sheldon Keefe was a first timer. Now there was a background with him and Sheldon Keefe going back to Sault Ste. Marie, but Kyle. When I look at how Mitch Love has coached, whether it was with Saskatoon, Stockton, Calgary Wranglers, assistant, handling Ovechkin, knows that division really well as well. I wonder if Kyle Dubas looks at Mitch Love and says, this guy might be the next Spencer Carbery. And that is right in the sweet spot of the bat for someone like Kyle Dubas. Anyway, I just lob it out there for you and your viewers.
We all silly like the mayor.